another day putting on wet clothes. It never gets easier. Sometimes if you put it in your sleeping bag, it'll warm it up, so it'll be a little damp, but warmer, and won't feel as bad. But that's only if your stuff's just damp to begin with, not dripping wet. And all my stuff was dripping wet last night, so I wasn't even gonna bother getting the inside of my sleeping bag all wet. I mean, I did put on my wet shirt, my wet rain jacket, my wet socks and shoes, but I just couldn't put on my wet shorts. Just a terrible feeling. I have my maroon shorts that are dry. That's what I slept in last night, and I'm wearing them to walk in. But if they get wet, I do have my base layer tights I could wear to sleep tonight, but those are very hot. It's just hard. That's all I'm saying. I'm really hoping to go 14 miles today, which is going to be more than I've gone since Vermont. I just really need to get the miles done and get to the next town so I can post a video and catch up to my friends. I think they thought I was going to the shelter that was 5 miles away from the parking lot, and I went to the one that was 2.5 miles away. The bad news is that it's not even raining that hard, but it's brushing against plants that have made me soaked, and nothing ever dries because it's always a little misty. But the good news is I found smoke, and we're in a shelter, and we're eating chips. But something came up in conversation that his feet are hurting because they're always wet, and I am always ready to just get dry, get warm. We're going to Andover next. That's our next town. We could walk 11 miles there to the closest spot to it, or in a few miles there's a road that could get us there too. We're waiting though for our friends, Xena Queen of Hearts and Habits, to see what they are thinking, what they're doing. Compare notes, you know? Maybe we can hitch with them. Eventually it was decided we would go to a hotel tonight. When I got up on this hill for service, I couldn't find Annalie. I couldn't find anything, but luckily there was one where our friends were staying, which is awesome, that asked if they could squeeze us in a place that might be hot and humid. But I thought, well, it's better than being cold and humid, so let's do it. Sleeping inside tonight. The official AT wanted you to cross the river in a place where if you get swept away, looks like you're going down a big steep waterfall, no question. So now I'm just trying to scout out alternative crossing places. Once again, we're rewarded for an obstacle with a gigantic uphill. We made it to the road where we were going to get picked up, ready to get dry. Unfortunately, our ride didn't show up for another hour.
Last November. Oh, yes. Oh, wait. There we go. Beautiful. I don't know who that is. There's nobody.
The room we got, we're very thankful for, first of all, but it was a little comical because it's 5 of us in this, basically a shed. They have a bunk bed, a normal bed, and then on top this loft that they built, and it feels so rickety and unsafe, but it's a place to sleep inside. Now we are going on a short walk, so short, to a place to get food.
Not even 0.1, not even. I'm really happy right now. I'm super pumped. We're gonna destroy this.
I hung up as much wet gear as I could with the space I had before climbing up into our interesting but dry bed for the night. We decided last night to take a 0 day today because in the forecast it said it was going to thunderstorm. Of course, now it's sunny, just the way it goes. But anyway, I'm glad for a day to have things dry out. A lot to do today, starting with trying to fix my shirt. Always an endless task. We are also really wanting to stay at this place called the Cabin. Honestly, the reason I want to stay is because there's this table and you get to sign it, and then it's going in the AT Museum. That's where we're staying tonight because we wanted to take a 0 day, so since there was availability today, we're going there. But they have a shuttle and I've called them 3 times now, left 2 messages, and they're just not... I guess they're busy, but it's just another aspect of hiker life where you don't have a car, so you're kind of waiting around a lot. It's okay. It's definitely not the end of the world. Glad to be sitting on my butt where it's not raining instead of hiking in the rain. A little while later, one of our friends we met earlier on the trail pulled up with a car and was able to give us a ride to the cabin.
It's like a zombie apocalypse, like nobody's home. Like that spooky vibe.
It turned out to be a super cute, homey place, and we even got to stay in a trailer instead of the bunk room. I love this place. It's so cozy. It feels more set up to accommodate a lot of hikers and so comfortable. Dinner was served family style in a room full of AT memorabilia. I finally got to see the famous table, which was made famous because Earl Schaefer, the first known thru hiker, signed it. And of course, dinner was delicious.
Got up in the morning, the shelter was packed with people. Checking on all the lifties, checking on the machinery, blah, blah, blah.
I think even though people have been raised here, I think they're a little afraid of nature.
We did a lot of lingering this morning because I was uploading something and it was taking forever. Then the ride here, thankfully, took a long time because it was really hard to come back to hiking. I'm just so tired. I guess I say that a lot though, huh? But I've been thinking of some positives. I get to explore the beautiful Maine scenery. I get to use my cool hiking gear that I love and I worked hard to afford. I get to spend time with Smoke Master. My body is tired, but it still works. Just another day on planet Earth. Yesterday was a 0 day for me and Smoke, but our friends, Xena, Queen of Hearts, and Habits, slack packed, so they are ahead of us on the trail, and our first goal is to catch up to them. Not that it's a race, of course, just we like spending time with them, and the more incentive we can give ourselves to keep going, the better.
One problem at a time.
You have to be like, well, I hike with dudes mostly the whole time, so.
I'm up early this morning, hitting the trail at 7, which is a record for me. Last night was really cold and I was like, okay, I need to start pushing bigger miles so I'm not in the cold for another month. There's about 250 miles left in the trail. Of course I am like, oh, but I'm gonna miss it when it's gone, but also don't want to be cold. So trying to do bigger miles, and that starts with getting up early. And for a special treat, today I get to cross a creek first thing. That wasn't bad. The first few steps I got my feet wet, but other than that, not really. And after stepping in that cold water, putting on my damp socks and shoes wasn't that bad. It's less cold and less wet. We've heard of Hurricane Lee heading towards New England, and so while we were up at the top, we had service, and it said it's supposed to be coming our way actually, because we're in the Rangeley area almost. It might rain tonight, and it's supposed to definitely be bad Saturday night. Today's Friday. You know, it's just a partially cloudy day right now, although it is cold. When we had service, I made reservations for Saturday night at a hostel. Thank goodness for that. One of those things we gotta play by ear. As much as like I want to do more miles so I can have a nice ending to the trail and not, you know, barely make it in the freezing cold. It's one of those things where it's not always possible. I kind of wish I hadn't listened as much to people that said, take your time and relax during the trail. Because, like, if I had tried more bigger mile days in Virginia and places like that, it was never easy, but it was more doable than it is to pick up the pace right now. Yesterday we did 10 miles. Every day before that was single digits. So still very, very slow. It's a toughie. We stopped a little bit short of when we wanted to. I had everything set up, dinner cooking. Then some other thru hikers came by and was like, hey, do you all know there's going to be a hurricane tonight, apparently? That changed our minds. We're hiking backwards, 0.3, hoping to get picked up on a dirt road. We don't have any way to communicate with anyone. This is just so frustrating. I don't want to hike the AT anymore. I want this to be my last night. This is just too much for me. We got a hitch, but he dropped us off at a place that is not the hostel that we thought it was. So now we're sitting in a parking lot. Don't know what to do. After texting and calling around, I found a hostel and a shuttle to take us there. The bad news is we won't be getting there till about 10 p.m. and it's going to be pretty expensive. There's no words. I really just wish it hadn't been like this.
I think I saw your wife at bear or something. Everything for bear. Yeah.
The good news is I don't want to quit the AT anymore. This place is awesome, very comfortable, very full of amenities. The bad news is, I guess not bad news necessarily, but Not even raining today. Thought there was gonna be flooding and big winds. I guess better safe than sorry, but I'm still very, very frustrated. Pac-Man and some other of our friends are 90 miles ahead of us now. It just seems like the trail keeps stretching out. As hard as I try to push myself, it just seems like it's gonna be at least another month. Seems like, I mean. But a plan that we're thinking is, what if we take this opportunity? This hostel is way ahead on trail of where we were. What if we just took a ride to around where Pac-Man is, went with them, summited Katahdin, and then got to celebrate with our friends, and then came back and finished these 100 miles or whatever we're skipping. On one hand, I really don't like that because, like, I just want Katahdin to be the end. It would be such a bigger feeling of accomplishment and mean so much more if, like, this is the end, this is our final destination, looking out over what we've accomplished from that view, you know, not looking back, oh, okay, well, that's what we hiked, that's what we still need to hike, you know. I don't know what to do. That's just an idea on the table, because it just feels like we are slipping further and further back all the time. I guess we don't have to summit with our friends. It would just be a cool feeling, you know. To me and Smokemaster, the people we're doing this with are a huge part of the experience. They're not just who we happen to be around. The memories are with them. They're part of the experience. So after the store, I came out here to the porch, trying to call one of my parents and tell them about potentially skipping ahead or a flip-flop. I don't know yet. But I guess when it comes down to it, I'm pretty decided. Like, it would just be the three people in this situation. Pac-Man wants us to skip ahead. Smoke wants to skip ahead. I'm the only one that's undecided, so I'm kind of outvoted. Plus, I was about to call my parents and just get a second opinion. What do they think? And then I was like, well, I just want to talk it out, because they weren't able to answer. So I was like, well, I just want to talk it out with someone and make sure I'm not taking the easy way out, you know, not letting myself off the hook. I'm gonna make my experience lesser because of that. But I really don't think I am. A lot of what I came to do the AT for was this sense of community and making friends in a situation you might not be in ever again. So I think that's the right call. It's decided. Oh. This is my boyfriend, ladies and gents. I'm wearing a lobster onesie with a trap door. Alrighty, folks, we got the match of the century. In this corner, we have Smokemaster. In this corner, we have Mountain Lion. Who's it gonna be? That's her roar, folks. She is pretty vicious. Boo! Folks, it looks like the match was at a standstill for a second there as the ping pong ball went underneath the couch with an impressive recovery by Mountain Lion. The match resumed. Mountain Lion, who do you think's gonna win the match today?
Me.
How come?
Because I'm making him pick up the ball.
Yeah, you are. So how old are you?
8.
8? And you're hiking the AT?
Yeah.
All of it?
Uh-huh.
Dang. What's the hardest part?
Nothing.
Nothing? And what's the best part?
everything.
Nice. I like your attitude. What advice would you give the people at home?
Nothing.
Nothing. They don't need to know anything. All the knowledge is yours. Smoke Master, who's gonna win the match today?
Definitely mountain lion.
How old are you?
27.
What's the least favorite part of hiking the AT?
Everything.
What's the best part?
Nothing.
Any advice to the people at home?
Everything is nothing.
Is this ping pong or is this philosophy, folks?
It's really hot.
As I looked at past hikers' summit pictures, I knew my Katahdin experience would be different than I planned. But it was now closer than ever.
Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy. And the tree was acting alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree.
My first full week in Maine, and what a week it was. So challenging, but let's talk more about it. How I noticed the landscape in the season changing as far as landscape, first of all, very similar to New Hampshire, I'd say. Still very mountainous, still very slow going, a lot of obstacles in the path. And it's also still very muddy, a handful more of creek crossings. I guess for the most part, it's the same. It's very similar to New Hampshire. But as far as season changing, it's definitely getting colder, and more of the deciduous trees are changing color. It's kind of fun sometimes because you walk across yellow and red leaves on the ground. I'm a little nervous about how cold it's getting, but that's life. The common experience with other hikers on the week, I think Southern Maine has been tough for everyone, but I get the vibes it's not as difficult as it is for me. You know, I want you all to know that it seems like most people don't do single digit or 10-mile days. Most people are going a little bit faster than me, but it's still hard for everyone. For example, this morning at breakfast, people were saying like, oh, I'm kind of ready to be done. It's been tough. It's been fun, but ready to just finally get to Katahdin. And it's somewhat in sight now. So it's coming soon enough. People were saying that this is their second to last resupply. And that's pretty weird. My favorite part this week was probably having dinner at the cabin. It was the same kind of vibes as being at Bob People's house. The AT is such a years-long community full of tradition and hominess and I guess I already said community, but it's just a really cool feeling to sit around this table that people have been signing for years and years with people, you know, new friends, old friends that you've seen on the trail throughout the way. So that was a really cool feeling. And delicious dinner too. My goal for this week was to be less of a pushover, and when I want to keep walking and not, you know, linger any more than I have to. I think I did that. I did that for the most part, but when you're hiking with other people, you can't just only do what you want to do. So I learned my lesson about, like, it's not all about just sticking to your plan. You have to also see what everyone else wants to do. The problem I noticed myself having is just the same as I've been having for a long time, just walking slow. So I want my goal to be getting up early, and you know, it's really hard. I've been doing it sometimes lately, but this coming week I want to get up early the majority of the days, like be on trail by 7, that early. What I learned this week, kind of what I said about my goal, just it's all about teamwork on the AT. Another thing, when I made the decision, me and Smoke made the decision to skip or flip-flop up to go see Pac-Man and finish with him, That was a really big thing because I was like, this whole time I've been picturing finishing at Katahdin and looking out and being done, and that's not going to happen. You just have to be flexible and know that you never know what the trail is going to throw at you, but it's your trail to make. There's no right or wrong way to do the trail. Even if we skipped that section completely, that'd be okay because it's our hike to hike. And thank you for joining me on it. Hope to see you next time.